Exciting game. Incredible defensive game for the Mountaineers today. Chance and Cole went 5, gave us a chance to win the game. That's what he's done every outing that he's had an opportunity to pitch in. Back and forth game. They played extremely well. We just had so many quality defensive plays. Guzman had 2 diving plays. At first, Graveline robbed a home run. Graveline threw a guy out from left field and an assist at the plate. We just played really clean defense that allowed us to stay in the game the entire day. And it wasn't easy, that's for damn sure. Nothing been easy. For a couple days, it felt like our team needed that. They had been working for that, maybe pressing a little bit, but man, they battled and fought today. Really proud of what they did.
Steve, do you feel like you just played better and better as the game went on?
Yeah, we just hadn't had anything going on offensively too much. I think Guzman had the first RBIs of the day, and it felt like maybe that got us going a little bit. It felt like we needed to scratch something. And to their credit, their pitchers have done a nice job. But yeah, at-bats started cleaning up across the board. Wills had some great swings. Guzman had some great swings. Sean Smith had been really struggling. He had 3 hits today. Graveline hit some balls hard today. So it just felt like all at once we had a chunk of our team that wasn't in a great spot offensively, and hitting's oftentimes contagious, but you just saw some guys kind of starting to chip away a little bit, and then obviously the big swing of Kresser there late was incredible. He hasn't driven a ball like that in a while, so to do it in that spot was pretty cool.
Does this type of performance from Matthew Graveline kind of make it hard to put him behind the plate again?
No, he'll definitely be back there. It's just so incredible that a guy can do what he does behind the plate and then also play the quality of left field that he does. He hasn't played left field, had that many starts, but I think he's been part of 3 assists at the plate, I believe. Oftentimes, players won't have that in their college careers, and so we're 11 or 12 games in, and that guy's just changed the game several times with his arm. But that's part of the reason he's a good catcher, too. He's got a cannon from behind the dish, too. It's hard to run on.
The way they play defense today, when you turn 3 double plays with Armani playing new position, like you said, Matt, not being, timeout here, what does that say about this week?
Guzman was incredible. I think you guys are learning as I am too, because he's played a lot of infield, but you don't necessarily know what you're going to see when the lights turn on and you got a different glove. And so he was exceptional. So I do think there's athleticism and talent and utility involved with this team. The interesting part is that we made a bunch of moves defensively with the same players on the field. And so it's more about finding what the best fit is for the team for us to win, but also a big piece of this is early in the season not wearing down Graveline or not wearing down Kelly. So if you catch every game for 9 innings, it's just taxing on the body, period. So we've never really had that luxury. It's always usually about 80-20, I'd say. And right now we're working at a better clip than that. So hopefully when you get in the middle of the season and the dog days and the postseason, you have guys that legs are a little bit fresh more. And so sometimes you don't have that luxury, but I think it's worth it to get both those guys back there right now because they're good.
We talked about Guzman's struggles, and today he was moved down in the order. Do you have like a conversation with him the night before, day of, just saying whatever you say to him?
No. Those kind of things happen all the time, and orders change and roles change, and who you go to out of the pitching staff changes. I think probably the biggest conversation I've had with Guzman is just through struggles, sticking with certain players that you think are game-changing players for you. So it was more of a conversation probably a week ago, just saying, hey, regardless, and there's obviously results are part of this game, and it's a extremely competitive lineup. But I just essentially told him, hey, you're going through some struggles, but I believe in you. And in order for us to be the best team at the end of the year when we need to be, you need to be good. So it doesn't really do our team justice or service to take that guy out of the lineup. It almost feels like you're just preventing until he's inevitably good, because he's a good player that's struggled.
David Perez, I think, was the longest he's ever gone today, 2 innings today. What made you confident of keep on going back out to him?
Strikes, great stuff. He's 96 with an 88-mile-an-hour slider, throws a ton of strikes, loves the moment, competes hard. He was getting back on the horse from his Kennesaw State outing where he gave up a homer. And so he basically had been perfect until Kennesaw State. I think he had 2 or 3 outings before Kennesaw, and he hadn't given up. I don't think he'd given up a hit, certainly hadn't given up any runs. And so the first time in his career last week, he got punched in the mouth. And so you never know how kids will react to that because it's such a confidence-based thing when you're out there on the bump. But he came back, and we lucked out a little bit because their 2-hole left-handed hitter, Jackson, blasted a ball against the left field wall against him, and that's when Graveline ended up making the play and throwing the guy out at the plate. So we probably missed a home run there from 2 feet or so. So by the grace of God, that ball stayed in the yard, and Perez ended up being able to extend his outing and gain some confidence today. But he's really good.
What you got out of Chancey today?
Good. Kept him off balance. Did what he does. He got to, I think, 87 pitches today. It looked like after the 5th, he going out for the 6th. It didn't look like the same stuff. He was missing. It was more erratic. Ran out of gas a little bit, I think, after 80 pitches. But you give the Mountaineers 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, we're going to be in every ball game. So you just won't ever trade that out. The thing that Chanson did today that he hasn't done is that he had 4 walks. So 4 free passes for a command guy is not the recipe for success, and that's why there was traffic, and that's why Thacker came in with 2nd and 3rd, 1 out. So he needs to be better in that area.
The timeout in the 9th, they just didn't give it to you early enough.
Unbelievable. Yeah, that was like, is this really going on right now? That was unbelievable. Yeah, so we have PitchCom, which is how you control the signs. And so gave Kresser a bunt the first pitch, gave Kresser a bunt on the second pitch, but the PitchCom has different modes. Essentially, the mode had flipped over, and so I pushed steal. And we did not want to steal in the biggest moment in that situation, and so I called timeout pretty early, and unfortunately, that was not granted in a hurry. That was granted extremely slowly, and so as I'm about 45 feet down the right field, down the line, Kresser hits what would have been a double, and I turned my head and basically watched the potentially game-winning hit or 2nd and 3rd no outs dribbling down the left field line. So you're going, man, things have not been easy, and so that was a little bit of cherry on top there. But I mean, poetic, the fact that Kresser comes up later in that game with bases loaded, hits a homer, he's screaming in my face to not feel sorry about the timeout call, right? So he's just a team-oriented guy and knows how this thing flows and how this works. But it was, that play is insane. I mean, just if you're watching that as a fan, you couldn't be any more confused.
How important are these games early in the season when it's back and forth, the crowd's getting into it, the weather's nice, just for knowing your guys' expectations for this season? How important are these games early against the ball?
Critical. We just hadn't played at home a bunch, and so being able to do this in front of our own fans that brought energy, that were into the game. It was an awesome crowd with great weather today. It was tremendous. And just like blowing a lead in the 9th has value, winning a game in extras in a walk-off fashion has value. It's all about if you're able to grow and learn from what happens, and the coaching staff has to make adjustments from those moments, and so do the players. But if you're not thrown in those moments, it's a lot harder to handle them. And so I don't think it's happenstance that you go through difficult games, you battle, you learn your bullpen, then maybe make better moves the next time around. And so it's an evolving thing, but for kids to be able to win in big moments and perform in big moments, those are things that are with them forever. Brodie Kresser will now know that he can always hit a walk-off grand slam in the biggest moment of a game. And so when you do those things and you accomplish certain things, you get to carry yourself differently. You get to walk taller. You get to have that confidence. And so Kresser's been swinging the bat well, but hadn't driven a ball like that in a while. So I think that was really important for him and our team. You saw jubilation out of that team today.